Boop, boop, boop. What's up, everybody? It's Wabacha with another video about Shockwave Totem and Ascendancy here with KarvarouskuGaming. Awesome. How's it going, Karv?
Hello guys, I'm good, thanks.
Did
How
I
are you
butcher your
doing?
name?
Karvarousku.
So I did butcher your name. Okay.
Yeah, everyone butchers it.
Yeah, it's hard to do. Well, so I contacted Karv a couple days ago about talking about Shockwave Totem and Ascendancy and subclasses. A lot of people are asking a lot of questions about it. Should I be playing Hierophant or Hierophant? People are asking about Chieftain and all these other things. And Karv and I feel the same way about it. I don't. It's something I actually kind of want to start this whole discussion with for Shockwave Totem and how it relates to Ascendancy is, honestly, there's very little ways you could go wrong in Ascendancy because every subclass is just an extension of power. Shockwave Totem, as it is right now, already is perfectly fine. Like, you do not need any more power in it. And this just kind of, I feel like people are a little too negative about the subclasses, whether they're good enough or, you know, it's just like, you don't need this power. You're not going to die because you picked Assassin over Trickster for Shockwave Totem. It's going to be essentially the same. What are your, like, kind of, what do you feel about that, Karv? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely you're not gonna destroy your character if you accidentally don't take the biggest powerhouse. And it's gonna be just a different way of playing Shockwave Totem. You can go basically max crit, or you can have a million of totems, or if you like to play solo, you can bypass all resistances and not need a elemental curse or anything like that. So there's a lot of options, but then there's some options that are arguable a lot more powerful than the others.
Right. And that's where things like Assassin and Inquisitor comes into play.
Yeah.
Like, those are actually like the two really big ones, and I feel like you and I are on the same page with this. Hierophant, out the door. It's just, it's not good for Shockwave Totem. Like, you're never gonna put your Shockwave Totem in your helm, and either way, an increased area of effect trumps the 20% AOE that you get on your helm. You always want it to be at least 5 linked or 6 linked. Maybe if you had a Rhymes Gaze and you did something like real edgy with it, but it's not something that I feel like you would do. And then the less damage per totem, I feel like on Hierophant hurts it so much. And
yeah,
and that's just nerfing it a little bit, in my opinion.
Yeah, you just have to put so many totems on to get the benefit.
Right.
And again, for the Hierophant, if you are one-shotting everything, even with the less damage, then there's a point where it would be a bit nice.
Right. Well, to start off the discussion, I'm going to go and start off with something that I know you don't think will be very good for Shockwave Totem, but as I mentioned earlier, it's an option. It is 100% option. You could do this, and that will be the Trickster. Now, Karv does it like this. I get why he does it like this, because it doesn't really change too much. The only thing I will say with Trickster, and I actually put up these little, I have this little info on the bottom right. You can see if I were to do Shockwave Totem and Trickster, I would do Walk the Ether and Shade Form. And I'm going to explain to Karv why I would do this and why I don't think it's necessarily that bad. But, you know, here's the thing. I probably wouldn't do it either. But it is something that you could do if you wanted to play it. And I think that's one of the cool things about the subclasses. Now, Walk the Ether, movement skills cost no mana. You know, this automatically means that it's no longer going to take from your energy shield, which is fantastic. Because, I mean, really, especially when you're going through content like relatively fast as you can with Shockwave Totem, you're just going to be, you know, Whirling Blades or Flame Dashing. And I think with Trickster, you're better off using a dagger, using Whirling Blades. Because you're not really going to be, because you don't want to bother yourself. You don't want to hold yourself down with things like power charges or frenzy charges. But you get the 20% attack and cast speed, which is fantastic. I mean, all the cast speed that you get on Trickster, you get 48% cast speed when you're whenever you use a movement skill and your energy shield is recharged recently. So 48% cast speed is good for Shockwave Totem. I mean, you wouldn't turn that down, right? I mean, it's not bad.
Yeah, it's definitely not bad.
Yeah, and my whole thing is, and I know, like you wouldn't do this. I'm more inclined to do this because it's a little bit more defensive. I play solo, and it's just I still think power charges are a pain in the ass. But the biggest thing is, it is a little bit more defensive. You're going to get quite a bit more evasion, a little bit more ES, and then you're going to get this little bit of dodge. It's not a lot, and you get the cast speed, and it just complements it well enough that I think it's usable. Oh, how about you though?
Yeah, Trickster has some nice small defensive and utility on him, but it's definitely not what I would be doing.
Right. Yeah, and
because I want the power creep.
Yeah.
Assassin.
Right. Yeah, but it's not bad, and I feel like that's something that again, when I said at the start of this, a lot of the options in Ascendancy they're optional. I mean, you can actually go through the game and not even do the labyrinth. Not that you wouldn't do that. I mean, obviously there's like power for you to take, but it's not like, well, now I know some people recently have been like, well, if I go assassin, I'm gonna die in hardcore, but if I go Trickster, I won't. No, you won't. It's the same thing. It's literally the same game. You could play it as it exists right now. So, yeah, this is an option. It's not the best one. It's not the best for damage, but it gives you a little bit more defensive utility. It does. I think the 5% chance to dodge and 5% chance to dodge spells it's pretty good, and especially with a lot of other things we have coming up, like what's that phasing flask called? Quartz flask. That gives you spell dodge. It's actually, I feel like it's going to be pretty easy to get some dodge with every build, so it's not terrible.
Yeah, but Trickster is definitely not the worst option.
No.
Totem subclass.
Right.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, it's not. That's the only point I really wanted to get to. But we'll go ahead and talk about Assassin for Shockwave Totem. And now I know this is the one you are super gung-ho about, so go for it.
Yeah, so obviously Deadly Infusion can't not look at it. Gives such a high base crit chance by just having power charges and the crit multiplier. So if you only look at like the 4 points from the unstable infusion into Deadly Infusion, that alone carries has so much power that it's just hard to not go assassin.
Right. Well,
then
real
ambush as well, and then just you seal the deal
right
there.
Well, real quick, before one of the reasons why you like unstable infusion is because what you use to generate your power charges. Do you want to tell everyone?
Yeah,
because this is a question I get asked a lot, and I'm not really a fan of it, but you say that it's actually pretty solid.
Yeah, so I'm one of those people who actually used Wand for Shockwave Totem because I think the cast speed is too much to give up ongoing daggers. And there's another reason as well, and that's that you can use Frenzy with GMP, power charge on crit, and then the fourth link is either crit strikes or faster attacks depending on your Wand and a crit chance. So you drop your totem, then if you're using a like imbued one or something like that, you can just randomly throw one frenzy. You will automatically get one frenzy charge, and then you have a high chance of getting a power charge as well, especially now with the extra crit you get. And then even if you don't crit, you still have a chance to get a power charge because you have unstable infusion, it's not the best node, but it's nice to have for this especially for this, because you have that small extra chance to get it, and with enough investment in the frenzy and power charges, you also get some duration nodes on the tree, and that makes it that you don't actually have to constantly keep spamming on it. And for boss fights, where you don't instantly kill them, you can just drop your totems and then spam your frenzy a bit, and you get a lot more damage if you have 5 frenzy charges and say 7 power charges. With 5 hits, you already gained 20% more damage from the frenzy, and then you have a small chance of getting the power charges as well. So it's
Right. Yeah, well, that's another thing to remember about this, that you get that increased power charge duration. And also, Ambush actually has a lot of synergy with this as well, because if you throw Frenzy into a pack that you haven't placed a totem into, you're going to get... Your chance to crit is going to be so high. And then even if you don't crit, 10% chance to gain a power charge on non-crit is... I mean, it's not... The thing is, you're most likely going to crit. You're more than likely going to crit. Like, it's... And this is a... I feel like this is a pretty good way to generate power charges. I haven't done it. And this is just because, like, I don't really like it, but you use it, and I know you like really stand by it. And also, another thing that I kind of want to talk about with this is... Actually, I don't even know where we're going. Oh, that's where I was going. The fact that because of that, I remember when we were talking about the passive tree, you preferred using you preferred getting a 5th power charge or a 5th frenzy charge versus an 8th power charge. And this, I think this all kind of ties into the fact that you're gonna have plenty of crit. Might as well get that cast speed, attack speed, and more damage. Right? Yeah, they're pretty damn good. So, but Ambush though, I mean, I know why Ambush is so good for Shockwave Totem. I feel like you should let people know, because people don't believe me, but that's why I want you here.
I'm just gonna say, if you're mapping solo, Ambush is even better for you and Shockwave Totem. And about Shockwave Totem, you have like big pulses that is destroy enemies when they crit. So let's say we have 50% chance to crit, which is a lot less than you're actually gonna have. And then you have Ambush, which doubles the crit chance on the first hit on the back. So the biggest thing for defense on Shockwave Totem is that you're shocking enemies. If you're using Shielded Lightning, you freeze them with Hatred, and then obviously you kill them. So you drop your totem in a pack, it's pretty much crit cap, so the mobs can't do anything after the first hit, because either they die, they are frozen and the next hit will kill them, or they're just gonna be frozen and you just bypass them and let the totem kill them later. It's like everything will be frozen.
Yeah.
Or dead.
Yeah. Ambush is stupid good. And that Ambush is like the single biggest increase to your clear speed, especially if you are solo.
In a group it needs, like, it requires you to be pretty ballsy going in front with the extra crit chance, but it's insane while leveling, because it doubles the crit chance for the first pack, which is really important, so you can kill the monster as soon as possible when you hit them. And for later, if you're mapping, there's a chance that you will respect to toxic delivery, just if you're mapping in a group a lot. I see definitely an option to get some extra damage.
Right.
And you kinda can do poison as well with the toxic. I'm not a big fan, but there's no like a really good subclass for it.
Well, for poison Shockwave Totem?
Yeah, it's toxic delivery is pretty nice. Gives you a lot of chaos damage, and then you just get the poison on your setup, and you're good to go. Only thing you're gonna miss is the shocks from physical to lightning, pretty much.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The only thing I kind of don't is okay. Well, this statement is gonna sound weird because ambush is amazing, but the only thing that kind of sucks about ambush is the fact that it immediately loses its value in boss fights.
Yeah.
Like it's at that point, it's after the first hit in a boss fight, you lose it. So in ambush is not going to make you one shot a boss with Shockwave Totem.
Yeah, that is true. But then again,
Right.
If you one shot all the map because of the
Right.
ambush except the boss, well,
yeah, it's better.
Pretty 1+1 is pretty easy to say that the map clear is gonna be faster and a lot safer.
Right.
If 99% of the map is instantly dying or always being frozen when you come with them the first time, so
yeah. Well,
it's a lot safer to play with.
Another thing though is that even if you aren't using a frenzy power charge setup with a wand, deadly infusion is so good that this doesn't even matter.
Group,
huh?
when you're playing in a group,
yeah,
with support that can give you charges.
Yeah, this point can be a waste. Like it doesn't even matter. Like I saw a lot of people talking about Assassin and how it relates to Shockwave Totem, and they they're like, oh, ambush is really good, and then they got to this and they're like, oh, well, can't do it. I'm like, no, it's deadly infusion is so good that like you just take all of it. Like who cares? Like you could have that ascendancy point. Like it doesn't even matter. It's so good. So I mean, yeah, we're on the same page. Ambush, deadly infusion with assassin for Shockwave Totem. But let's go ahead and talk about the initial one that you and I were both excited about. Well, I think, we both still really like it, is the Inquisitor. Now, the Inquisitor has some pretty unique properties. Now, when we talked about it previously, you and I both agree, inevitable judgment.
Yeah.
Hands down, it's just going to,
it's gonna just wreck the world when you crit.
The only kind of downside to it is some mobs don't have negative, or they don't have resist anyway. Yeah. So it's not. But the one right before it, Righteous Providence, is amazing because it gives you more chance to crit until you have a crit multiplier on it, or until you have a status ailment on it, and then as soon as you do have the status ailment on it, it goes from that crit to crit multi, and 45 crit multi is quite a bit. Now, the thing that you and I you had mentioned Instruments of Virtue. I thought Augury of Penitence. They're both good. Like at the end of the day, they're both really good. My only kind of concern with this is I don't necessarily know if placing a totem will count as casting a spell.
Yeah, that's something that needs to be tested / asked from GGG.
Right, but Whirling Blades.
I said Flame Dash.
Yeah, Flame Dash or Whirling Blades. So like if you're a wand user, you're gonna be using Flame Dash, right? So you're gonna be casting a spell and you're gonna get that spell damage. However, if you're a dagger user, which I feel like a lot of people are going to be using daggers a lot more with a lot of these subclasses. You're going to get 10% attack speed and cast speed, or 20% increased cast speed, which actually makes Instruments of Virtue really good. On top of that, if you use a curse or do anything, you're still going to get that spell recently. But is this kind of how this is like your same thought process on it?
Yeah, for my case, it would be flame dashing and then using the frenzy, and I have both.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, because see, that makes sense for what you do. The fact that you're using
it's pretty nice for the one. It gives you a lot of cast speed, which is clear speed.
Right.
Though the other option, Augury of Penitence, that defends option from the less elemental damage from nearby enemies is it's insane.
Right. Yeah, a lot of people really undervalued this. They someone was like, "Oh, that's like only." Someone did some math. They're like, "That's like 1.25 maximum percent."
Yeah, it's
I'm like, "Yeah, that's that's
a lot.
really good." Oh, and then the other thing too is nearby enemies take 10% increased elemental damage. That's a more multiplier.
Yeah.
And as Shockwave Totem, you deal so much of your damage is elemental that
Yeah, I don't remember the exact number, but when you have physical to lightning, it's like what, 80.
yeah
Plus
yeah, it's like
80%.
80%. Yeah. If you if you're doing physical lightning, added fire, and hatred, but if you're not doing physical lightning and hatred and added fire, then it's a little bit less. But either way, it's so much of your damage, and it works really well. And even the inevitable judgment, the non-critical strike parts of it is actually like pretty good because you are going to also not crit. I mean, it's not.
Yeah.
And that's actually something that is also pretty good. But Inquisitor, it's either going to be, it's kind of up to you. It's up to you, but it's either going to be inevitable judgment with augury of penitence or instruments of virtue. Those are kind of like our picks. I think I would personally go augury of penitence. But
someone might even say that skipping the judgment and just taking the minor one and then taking all those is an option. But the judgment in the end, when you crit, everything is gonna be frozen and shocked because nothing has resistances.
Right. Yeah.
But why I kind of don't like it anymore is the fact that in a group with support, everything is gonna be on minus resistances already.
Right.
And then you actually have to invest a lot more in crit chance to benefit from it. Like as of now, you get like 40-45% crit chance, but an assassin you can just everything is gonna be so much better.
Right. Well, and then someone actually had mentioned that today. I think Noogie was streaming alpha, and they're like, well, but support would drop everything's resistances to negative, right? And then he's like, well, so what? The support just runs different curses. The support just runs Assassin's Mark and Warlord's Mark. He just mentioned that there are other curses to run, and I think it's a valid point, right? I mean,
yeah, but it's so specific on the group what you're playing
right.
with, and I'm pretty sure where I'm gonna play, we're gonna have a pretty amazing elemental weakness going on.
Right. But also, with that said, wouldn't you say if it worked out better for your group, you guys would just run what is actually the best? I mean, like,
yeah, it's an option, but it's a bit less flexible option. And an assassin, you don't kind of have to care about what others are doing, just you're doing your own thing.
Right. Yeah, assassin
and benefiting from others. If you go Inquisitor, you have to make the others play around it so you get the best benefit.
Right.
So
yeah. Well, and the nice thing, one of the nice things about this is the tree that we pretty much use now is actually pretty flexible between Templar or Assassin. You're 5 points off for each one.
Yeah, it's basically the starting nodes.
Yeah, and Assassin, I mean, I think you and I are the same. You and I both prefer the Shadow Start a little bit more because of the cast speed.
Yeah, cast speed is amazing.
But when you're getting all of these, extra damage, all these things in the subclasses, it just doesn't really matter. I mean, honestly,
it's gonna be amazing regardless what you're gonna do. If you do Inquisitor or Assassin, you're gonna be fine.
Right. And this is actually kind of where I want to stray off a little bit. So other than the ones that we would pick, Assassin, probably followed by Inquisitor, and then I would do Trickster just to have something a little bit different. But I want to talk a little bit about Elementalist, because I do want to bring up the fact that you can do whatever. And with Elementalist, you would go Pendulum of Destruction. I feel like Paragon of Calamity and Liege of the Primordial. It's not, you're going to get 100% increased elemental damage every 4 seconds, or for 4 seconds every 10 seconds. You could do it if you wanted to play Witch. It's not really.
You can do it, but if you're, let's say if your end game build is gonna be a Shockwave Totem, I definitely wouldn't go as a Witch, just because the other options are so much better.
Right. But if you want to be a special snowflake.
Yeah, or if you want to level up as an Witch and you don't know what you're gonna level with, you could easily go with Shockwave Totem, especially with the recent buff to its damage, and you could have no problems leveling as an Elementalist.
Right.
The elemental conflux is pretty amazing.
So now let's talk about the last one that I kind of want to talk about is the Ascendant, the Scion class. And the reason why I want to talk about this is that you could essentially get, let me try to find this image right here. So with an Ascendant, you could do, and I apologize for how like janky this looks, but if you did Hierophant with Assassin, that's not, depending on one, there's one thing I do really like about this. The 20% chance to gain a power charge when you place a totem as a Hierophant, if you do it through the Scion, right?
Yeah, if you do Scion, you're gonna have Hierophant.
Yeah, and then Assassin gives you some decent crit too. It's not terrible.
Another one you could do is Hierophant and Chieftain.
Right.
Because you get that sweet life regen while you have a totem up, and some extra physical damage as fire, which is not the best of options, but it's pretty nice. But I agree, if you do Scion, probably do Hierophant plus Assassin.
Right, yeah, and it's just another option. I'm adding this to the thing. I actually derped and didn't think to add this.
Pathfinder is also quite nice if you you like your flasks, and you get a pretty nice damage reduction to elemental damage while you have a flask up. So
right. Yeah, so
a lot of deep damage mitigation that way as well.
And the tree doesn't really suffer if you start with Scion. You're gonna get like that ideal life value a little bit easier if you start Scion, and you get a little bit more life regen.
But then you have a bit more those annoying traveling nodes.
Right. Yeah, the ones in between that jewel socket and shaper or shaper seed, whatever it is. Yeah, but Scion is something that you can do. Either Assassin Hierophant, Chieftain Hierophant, and then you were saying Raider, right? No, Pathfinder. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Pathfinder, and what was the other one you said?
Did you say did you get Chieftain?
Yeah, Chieftain Hierophant, Assassin Hierophant.
Assassin and Pathfinder. You have
Assassin and Pathfinder. That's what it is.
You have some options, but it's definitely not my favorite class to go Shockwave Totem. It wasn't in the past, and
you've done it before. Isn't that what you're the Shockwave Totem character you had that died at level 98 to the bears? Wasn't that the Scion?
No, that was a Witch, but I did the Scion. I did a Scion actually in hopes of respecking her into a different build later, but I never get the gear to do it, so I just kept playing as Shockwave Totem, and I was like level 93 or something like that. And then I gave the same gear to one level lower Witch, and my damage went up, my life went up, and my ES went up. The only thing that the Scion was better was that I had 2% life regen, which was a bit less aids in maps with degens or against speed or something like that.
Yeah.
That was literally the only good thing about it.
Yeah. So I mean, Scion, if you want to do that too, Shockwave Totem can do Scion. You're just gonna do one of these, like combinations. I did try to make some trees that would use the Scion jump, but you only ever save like maybe 3 or 4 points. It's not.
Yeah,
it's not really worth it.
You really want to spend your points in the Shadow, Witch, and Templar anyways, and you're somehow you're gonna bat into one of these places, and from there you can just follow the road. Like the biggest gap is between Witch and a Shadow, so in theory you could go from Scion into Templar and craft the totem nodes between Scion, like a Marauder and Templar, and then just go to Witch and leave the Shadow and Witch area, and then jump into Shadow, but then you are missing out on Hierophant because you have to take Assassin to get the benefit of the alternate start, so it's kind of wasted.
Right. Something about Chieftain I want to ask real quick. The gain 15% of physical damage as extra fire damage if you've killed recently. I don't think that proc for Shockwave Totem because your totems do the killing.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But
I actually completely missed that.
But with that said,
but you
the
can
other ones
do
are still
some
good.
Shenanigans, I know.
Huh?
But you can do some shenanigans.
Oh yeah, you could do that. Yeah, the Southbound.
Yeah, I just don't like those shenanigans at all.
Yeah, it's all right. I mean, I think that's a really underused. Well, it's underused for totems, but
yeah, I think you should tell what you're talking about, so those that are not completely aware of it.
Yeah, so essentially what you could do with Shockwave Totem, and I have a video up on my YouTube called automated power charge generation. What's that face for? Are you making that face at me? Okay. Anyway, anyway, if you run Southbound Soldier Gloves, it makes it to where your Shockwave Totems will only kill things that are shattered. And you're like, okay, well, I run Hatred. Well, if you drop all your cold damage, you could do this by either not running Hatred, or you could use a Pyre Ring to convert all your cold damage to fire. I don't really like that as much, although it's a little bit more convenient. What you could do is you just essentially make it to where you're not freezing anymore, and you're not shattering anything with the totems, but instead they are the mobs will get down to 1 HP, and either through your Herald of Ash or your added fire, or if you're a Chieftain, your extra physical damage as fire and chance to ignite, mobs will die from ignite. The only issue with it, well, no, there's a couple issues with it. One, it's technically a bug, and something that I anticipate them fixing. I don't know when, but they're going to be fixing it in the future, soon. They're going to be fixing it soon. The other downside to it is the fact that if you encounter a mob that has a high amount of life regen, or is resistant to fire and life regen, sometimes you get in the situation where mobs won't die right away. But the cool thing about this, though, is that if you do use this, if you curse mobs with Assassin's Mark and use Southbound Soldier Gloves, they'll die from the burn and the ignite, and then you will get the power charge. And that's what my video on YouTube is about. It's about using a Blasphemy Assassin's Mark with Southbound Soldier Gloves, and I'm generating power charges and playing absolutely normally. And, that's... Although Karv doesn't like it, which kind of surprises me because it's very streamlined. You don't have to stop to do anything.
Yeah, it's convenient.
It's convenient.
But I'm gonna go on to a good old saying that you can't deal damage if you're dead, and one of the biggest defenses for Shockwave Totem is the fact that you can, as it's a physical spell, you can easily scale up so much cold damage with crit that you're gonna just freeze the world.
Yeah. And that
including some bosses.
That is one of the nice things about Shockwave Totem, the fact that you do freeze, and especially porcupines with the spikes.
Yes,
you shatter them. You don't have to worry about that. That is a pretty big defensive
Yeah, and if you don't trust
benefit.
me that the freeze is a defensive option, especially in this case of porcupines, you're very welcome to run maps with monsters are immune to those elements, and you're gonna have a fun time.
Oh yeah.
Grabbing all those spikes.
Oh, that's another thing too. The whole Southbound Soldier Gloves things. Curse immune maps are pretty much a no-go. And
you have to get a poison or something on that.
Yeah, and then with what you just said, you have these maps that could roll. Mobs are immune to elemental status ailments.
Yep.
Then you would absolutely need poison, and then it's just like it could be a mess.
Yeah.
And you could spend a lot of currency rolling your maps.
Yeah, it's a cool thing that you can do, but it's something that if you don't absolutely need to do, I wouldn't do.
Right. But we're on the same page overall, though. Assassin is really good. Assassin is the one. Between Ambush and Deadly Infusion, Ambush alone is really, really good.
Yeah, especially during leveling.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people ask me when I was playing the Shockwave Totem that when can you go Shockwave Totem, and more importantly, when can you start investing into crit? And when you invest into crit, you kind of change your gem setup a bit, because then you I wasn't a big fan of Control Destruction because it was 5% smaller crit chance.
Yeah.
So as an assassin, however, you don't have to not use it and still can be doing some pretty insane amount of crits.
Right. Yeah, so there you go. For Shockwave Totem, it's going to be Assassin, the subclass Assassin, probably followed by Inquisitor.
Yeah, if you want to min-max your, especially your damage, for group play, Assassin is a definite winner.
Right. And then you can do Trickster. It's not that.
Yeah,
it's not.
can do Trickster.
It's not that bad. It's just a little bit more defense. The one thing I will say that is kind of cool about Trickster is the fact that you're gonna get that evasion, or not the evasion, that energy shield. So it's easier to get that high DPS shield in your offhand. But yeah, Trickster's okay. It's not as good as the other ones, but it's pretty good. And then also you could also do Scion, and you could do like this, Chieftain, Hierophant, Assassin, Hierophant, Pathfinder, Assassin, Pathfinder. You could do all those as well. So yeah, those are what me and Karv feel like would be the best picks for Shockwave Totem and Ascendancy. And I want to reiterate this point that I made at the start of the video. As Shockwave Totem exists right now, it doesn't need any more damage. So all this stuff is just icing on the cake. So do whatever you want to play.
Yeah, and the fact that you don't need all the damage is the only reason why I would ever consider doing a Hierophant.
Right.
Alone, as a Templar. Because if you have enough damage to instantly destroy anything with one totem, it adds a bit survivability to boss fights when you have a bit more targets, but the extra totems for less damage is it's not quite as good or needed as the other things you can get.
It's heart-wrenching. That's what it is. It's sad.
But Hierophant has totem placement speed.
Oh yeah, I know. Totem placement speed is...
I want that into Assassin on Inquisitor.
I would love totem placement speed too. Yeah, can we get totem placement speed on Jules, please, GGG? That'd be awesome. Please.
I'm still going to go with live crit multi, and gas speed.
Whatever. Well, you wouldn't turn one down with totem speed if it was GG otherwise. Okay. All right. Well, that's going to be it for this video. We'll go and take some questions for the people who are live here. But Karv, where could people find you?
Well, as of now, I haven't been streaming too much because obviously can't stream the alpha and haven't been really up to playing the normal games since I got the access to alpha. But on Twitch TV / KarvarouskuGaming, and then the same in YouTube. It's just KarvarouskuGaming that you can find me on. I'm there's quite a bit of racing videos if you're interested in that case. I think I have like 200 from the past 3 seasons, and there's a lot of derp and a nice bit of salt from me doing the races with bad energy. If you wanna enjoy some misery, yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you guys for watching. You know where to find me. You're on my YouTube already, and you can catch me at twitch.tv/waba. So yeah, thank you guys very much. Have a good one. See you later. Bye-bye.
So you can just follow the coastline if you wish. So let's start with the last one, right side. The exit will be in the water, so you can just follow the coastline if you wish. You should not run at the edge of the water, however, but below, slightly below it, so you're able to scout monsters and chests on your way there. This is slightly different variation of the previous instance. The goal is to get on the left side